Welcome to the Hustle Wing podcast. Today we are joined by Peter Gailey, the founder and CEO of Gailey Solutions. We're going to chat to him today and get to know his company a little bit and, him. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us, Peter. How are you doing today? And
Um,
compliments of the new year. Sorry.
yes, happy New Year. Thank you, Izzy. I'm thrilled to join you and kind of share my message. Um, I'm in Dallas, Texas. The
hmm
services that I perform are virtual, and they can be implemented pretty much anywhere in the country, in the U.S.,
Yeah.
and in EMEA and international as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. So then, yeah, what are your services? What do you guys do at Gailey Solutions?
Well, we are cybersecurity based. And
Mm-hmm.
what we do is we will go in. My ideal client is somebody, a new CEO, a new chief information security officer, a new CIO. We
Okay.
provide cybersecurity kinds of services. So
Okay.
an ideal opportunity is let's say a new CIO that's walking into a medium sized to large firm, kind of the
Mm-hmm.
middle to higher end SMB and low end enterprise.
Yeah.
um, they probably would. I always suggest you get a baseline of what your cybersecurity posture looks like, what your scoring looks like, what kind of
Yeah.
resources you have. What
Yeah.
we do is we go in and do a baseline assessment of people, processes, technology, and data, and it gives a
Mm-hmm.
really nice comprehensive view of where they're strong and where they're weak, and we
Mm-hmm.
would report back on a maturity score, generally 1 to 10, where you are,
Okay.
and then also a what's called a POAM, which is a plan of action and milestone.
Okay.
So let's say we come back with 328 problems or vulnerabilities, then
Okay.
we're going to risk rank them as a function of consequence. So we do
Okay.
assessments. We'll do individual assessments of each one of those categories as well. But set a
Mm-hmm.
baseline and then build a program to reduce risk and meet compliance. That's what we're all about.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And what is the average? Sorry, I'm just out of curiosity. What is the average number? Is it really 300?
It if on a total program approach,
Uh huh.
it could be anywhere from 100 to 500. Here are
Wow.
yeah, here
Really?
the in the cybersecurity world, there are many standards and frameworks. You've heard of
Mm-hmm.
ISO, right? The
Yes.
ISO is an international standard that
Uh
has
huh.
literally hundreds of different standards, if you will, for things like
Yeah.
weights and measures and all that. There
Yeah.
is a standard for cybersecurity. Okay,
Okay.
so it's all about what are called controls.
Yeah.
Okay, so within the standard, hey, do you have what is your password philosophy? What's the control that you have in place? So it'll be
Yeah.
a policy. What's your policy? Is it written?
Okay.
Is it
Mm-hmm.
documented? And then how do you implement that? So that would be a
Okay.
procedure. So policies and procedures for hundreds of categories, for literally hundreds of categories in the ISO space, in the
Yeah.
which is international. In the
Mm-hmm.
U.S., we work with what's called NIST, which is
Right.
National Institute of Standards and Technology, and
Okay.
there are all different industry standards. You've heard of HIPAA, right? Which is
Yes.
the health stuff. There's
Yeah.
PCI stuff, which is credit card stuff, financial stuff,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um, legal, frameworks, government
Yeah.
frameworks. So all of these are um, uh, control based, and it's
Mm-hmm.
funny because the controls are pretty much the same. They just ask the question a little bit differently in every industry, right?
Okay, fair
So
point.
it's not hard to understand, but it's pretty
Yeah.
hard to implement, right? So we
Yeah.
go in and we'll assess against a standard. And
Mm-hmm.
it might be, let's say somebody in the UK might be ISO 2700, which is one of the
Mm-hmm.
big standards in cybersecurity. And then
Yeah.
they have what's called GDPR, which is privacy, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
we would go in and do an assessment virtually, look at,
Mm-hmm.
credentialed access into their networks, interview their people, that kind of stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
come out with an ISO maturity. Hey, where are you with regard to proximity of that standard? And then what are your
Yeah.
privacy, controls, and are they in place? And here's what we found that's good. Here's what we found that needs help, and then
Yeah.
we'll prioritize those risks as a
Okay.
function of consequence. So if they have a
Okay.
really
That makes
bad, nobody has a password, that's a big problem, right? Anybody can get
sense.
in. Okay, great. If your password policy is 5 digits, that's really bad.
Hmm.
If it's 15 digits, that's a lot better, right? So that's the
Yeah.
kind of those are the kind of things. So there's hundreds of controls in each one of those
Yeah.
frameworks, if that makes sense.
Okay. That's kind of scary. If you did a little search in Hustlewing, for example, and you came through with 300 points that are, problematic, I would be a bit worried. Like,
Well,
do you,
no, not really, because
okay.
remember I said that we risk rank them with as a consequence of severity.
Okay.
So there are going to be some that are going to be, you better get to fix this with your hair on fire like real quick, right? Or
Okay.
this could just use a little tweak. We found it
Mm,
as a vulnerability. Instead of having the door wide open, you've just got it unlocked. Okay,
yeah.
so shore it up a little bit. So it kind
Okay.
of depends on the environment and the maturity, and I
Yeah.
can generally walk into any company and ask about 5 to 10 questions, and I can tell you how mature your cybersecurity profile is. I really can.
Okay.
It's not that, again, it's not that hard to figure out. It's very hard
Yeah.
to implement, and it's pretty costly. So we put
Interesting.
together a program approach.
Yeah.
Here's a baseline. Here's the assessments and what we
Mm-hmm.
found, and then
Mm-hmm.
here are the big things you need to correct quickly. And
Yeah.
then over time, and it's going to be a function of budget and
Mm-hmm.
time and
Mm-hmm.
human resources. Do you want us to help you? Are you going to do it yourself? Do we need to find a
Yeah.
third party to help you do it? Do you have to buy
Yeah.
software and services from somebody to do it? I don't really
Yeah.
care, right? We just
Okay.
want to make sure that people's risk is reduced and
That it's done.
they meet compliance because they
Got
generally
it.
have to in certain industries. So that's what we're all about.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Awesome. So, yeah, you sound like you know what you're talking about. How long has, Gailey Solutions been running?
I've been up for about 10 years, and
Wow.
I
Okay.
started off as a sales and business development person for
Okay.
a company called Coalfire. Coalfire is the largest independent, privately held cybersecurity company that does assessments and certifications and whatnot in the world.
Okay.
They're big. Um,
Okay.
I was focused on a couple of vertical industries: healthcare and
Hmm.
the financial world, and
Yeah.
the rest is history. I spun off for various reasons and formed my own company. And
Yeah.
there's two major trends in the cybersecurity world, and everybody knows them. Okay, you
Hmm.
always hear it. There's not
Uh-huh.
enough people to do this stuff. Okay, there's just
Yeah.
not. We're you know I think the last number was 350 3.5 million people shortage in cybersecurity practitioners.
Wow.
Okay, it's a big number. So anybody
Yeah.
that's listening, you should be considering cybersecurity and artificial intelligence, and
Mm.
try to figure out where the gaps are, and those would be real good job targets for you to be prepping yourselves for.
Yeah.
So the first big trend, there's not enough people to do this stuff, whatever this stuff is, right?
Yeah.
And then the second is we're the industry is very, very much on the front end of leveraging automated tools and services.
Mm.
So
Yes.
we've all heard the latest buzzwords are Chat GPT and artificial
Yeah.
intelligence, and
Yeah.
large language models, that kind of stuff. Those
Yeah.
are all a very specific kind of automation that's happening. So
Okay. Yeah.
we are on the front end of a brand new
Oh,
industrial revolution for the
yes.
world. in all
Yeah.
industries, and artificial intelligence is going to be very important. As
Yeah.
it relates to cybersecurity,
Okay.
it's really good because people are going to be using it to create more sophisticated services. And it's really bad because the bad guys are going to be using it to um, do more nefarious things. Okay. So
Ah,
again, it's a
okay.
technology, it's a tool set,
Yeah.
but it's going to have both positive and negative ramifications. So it's a
Yeah.
great industry to be in. Again, not that hard to figure out, but pretty hard to execute. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And I mean,
So
it tends to
let me go
happen.
back and specifically answer your question. So what I did was I went out and formed Gailey Solutions after my
Yes.
coal fire run, and I
Uh-huh.
basically I noticed those two trends. So I
Mm-hmm.
have pieced together a bunch of companies that
Yeah.
are leveraging automation
Yeah.
in cybersecurity. So I don't, and I kind of prefaced it by saying I'm virtual and I'm international. I have these
Mm-hmm.
world leading tools and services that I can
Yeah.
deploy anywhere in the world. So if
Yeah.
you need some of the standard services are risk assessment, people
Mm-hmm.
and process, right?
Yeah.
Looking
Yeah.
at your network, discover all the nuances and IP addresses and hardware and software, what's in your network, right? And
Mm-hmm.
penetration testing, looking at websites and look at trying to break into your company. Those can all
Yeah.
be done virtually, right? And
Yeah.
they all use a lot of automation tools. So I can engage Gailey Solutions, and we
Yeah.
can we can play, and everything is scalable, right?
Yeah.
Because of the automation and because of the services. So I've
Yeah.
chosen about 20 companies that I partner with,
Okay.
and we take all those findings and we put them
Mm-hmm.
in a program approach. Here are the 100 things that you need to get to. Here's the priority of each.
Yeah.
Okay, this one is going to be really hard to do and take you a long time and cost a lot of money. This
Mm-hmm.
one, you're going to get a quick return on it. It's not that hard to do, and you can do it really, really quickly. So let's
Yeah.
prioritize those, reduce your risk,
Right.
make a
Yeah.
program out of all of these projects,
Okay.
and off you go.
Yeah.
It's a
Implement.
journey. Nobody's ever going to be safe.
Yeah.
You hear these huge governments, U.S. right,
Mm-hmm.
China. I mean, in the UK, these governments are getting hacked, and they are
Yes.
applying hundreds of millions of dollars to lock themselves down. This is
Yeah.
again, it's very hard to implement, right?
Yeah.
So I target the smaller to mid cap companies, 25 to 500 million in
Mm-hmm.
revenue in U.S. dollars. People that can, on the low level, people that can afford my services,
Yeah.
and then on the high end, people that might need me to help give a third party
Yeah.
perspective.
Okay. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Sure.
So, Peter, what are some of the challenges that you guys are facing now? I mean, you've been in the game for, you said 10 years, so
Yeah.
I'm sure you're well seasoned, but what are some of the challenges that you guys are facing at the moment at Gailey Solutions?
Um, I don't mean to be disingenuous, but
Okay.
there's a lot of people that are hiding under their desks, just hoping that the big hack doesn't happen to them.
Yes,
So
that's true.
there's a lot of denial. Okay,
Yeah.
um, that's a big one.
Okay.
That's a hurdle. Okay,
Yeah.
another is there are folks that simply don't understand what needs to be done to secure themselves, and um, not to be disingenuous again, I'm sorry, but it would be a good idea if they had what I call adult supervision. Okay,
Okay.
so you should bring in a virtual CISO, virtual chief
Yeah.
information security officer, or a
Yes.
virtual chief information officer or
Uh-huh.
chief privacy officer, and just
Okay.
say, okay, I'm an expert in that.
Yeah. Let me.
You may not have the budget to do a full time person, but
Okay.
you still need the expertise for somebody to oversee your program.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay, so the resistance, there's a big trend in the U.S. For virtual resources. Nobody's,
Okay. Yeah.
again, there's not enough people to do this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, you bring somebody in as a fractional, and,
Yeah.
maybe, however many hours. If I were to do an assessment of a company, let's say it's a
Hmm.
$50 million company, let's say it's a
Okay.
$25 million company, and
Okay.
I came in and said, "Oh my goodness, you don't know, you don't have anything in place, you don't have any controls, you don't have anything." Okay,
Okay.
then I'm going to give them a really simple plan and budget, and say,
Okay.
go, you got to do this stuff first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then once you do that, then what I do, and in the States, we have a saying called an MSP, right?
Okay.
A managed service provider.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yes.
may,
Yeah.
or you may choose or not to use me to do the work, but my
Okay.
managed services, I'm going to come in every 90 days as
And
a
just check.
consultant, as a
Yeah.
VCISO, to kind of get a pulse check. Hey, did you do this? If you did,
Ah.
great. If you
Okay.
didn't, great. That's your call.
Yeah.
But here's kind of an oversight, a program approach, because you
Yeah.
can't. There is not a one click solution on this
Yeah.
stuff.
Definitely. Yeah.
So bring in experts, and for the people on this call, the audience,
Mm-hmm.
get trained and learned and get experiences that you can potentially end up as a VCISO, or end
Yeah.
up as a pen tester, or somebody
Yeah.
doing assessments. The
Yeah.
word is remediation, right? To fix something is to remediate something,
Yes.
right?
Hmm.
You know, become an expert in some area of those 500 controls that you are the go-to person to remediate, right?
Okay.
Beautiful, nice niche. Hey,
Yeah.
you heard of multi-factor authentication, right? Okay.
Yes.
Like your
Yes.
phone, you go to a website and they ping you back. You got to do a 4 digit. That's multi-factor authentication, right?
Okay.
Be
Yeah.
the expert that is able to implement that program at a company.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so you could learn one set of uh, finite skills, and
Yeah.
the world is your oyster. I
You
mean,
can go there.
right?
Yeah.
So there, each one of those controls, 400, 500 controls. The size of the universe is 500 controls. If you become expert in one or two of those, you could make a great living, and you could have a huge
All
impact.
right. Yeah.
Isn't it fun? I
Okay,
mean,
that's
it's
awesome.
it's again, it's not hard to figure out, but could be pretty hard to execute.
Yeah. That's interesting. I didn't know you could break it down into like sections. I always just assumed that if you're in cybersecurity, you do all of them. Like you'd have
No,
to
no, no,
be an
no.
expert in all 500.
Nobody can do all of them. Nobody.
Got
There isn't a
it.
company. There isn't a company on the planet that can do all of them. IBM can't do all of them.
Okay.
IBM works through a partner community. And
Hmm.
if you're a Fortune 500 company or something, and you have, they're probably, Fortune 500 company. I'm going to go to the high end scale, right?
Yeah.
They have their own CIO. They have
Yeah.
multiple chief information security officers, all kinds of
Yeah.
directors, facilities
Yeah.
all over the world, but
Yes.
they can't do it themselves. They'll go to IBM, who is a very, very robust, and again, Ernst and the big four, the big four consulting companies,
Yeah.
and thousands of other consulting companies like me,
Hmm.
that we bring the expertise in and say, okay, if you're going to do multi-factor authentication and you need to do
Uh-huh.
that, and that's part of what you have to do for compliance purposes, or to
Yeah.
get cybersecurity insurance, you have to have multi-factor authentication. You have to, or they won't give
Yeah.
you, they won't let you get a policy. Okay, so
Okay.
you go
Yeah.
find somebody. IBM would go find who's the expert in multi-factor authentication,
And
and they would bring a
I
partner in to
see.
implement that. Does that make
Got
sense?
it.
So
It
they
does
may
make
or
sense.
may not have that expertise in house. They probably
Yeah.
do on that case. I'm sure they do, but they're also using other people's tools and services to help supplement.
Yeah. Which is where, hypothetically you would come in if you are
Right.
this
And either
expert
I
in
would
that.
do it, or I would bring a partner in, and or I would introduce a partner on a referral basis, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So all of you
Okay.
people out there, if you have clients, when you have
Hmm.
clients that want to build out, they're all hiding under their desks, right? Oh my goodness, I
Yes.
hope this doesn't happen to me. Um, Push them my way, and I'll do a referral program, right? Compensate the person
Okay.
that brings it to me if it turns into a deal.
Yeah.
Then, go and help the company solve their problems. So
Okay.
ideally, somebody that's looking to get serious about cybersecurity.
Yeah.
Those are
Got
my
it.
target accounts. Does that make sense?
Okay. It does. It does, Peter. You're making a lot of sense.
Good.
You're really breaking down a very complicated,
As I say,
industry for me. So thank
it's not hard to understand. It's just
It's
very hard to
not, but
implement.
it's such a big monster. Like every time someone says, cybersecurity, you always think, oh, that's serious.
And that's why they're hiding under their desks.
Case in point. All right. All right, Peter. So the last question, I guess, is what sort of assistance would you need from our community? So you have said that you're looking for,
Sure.
referrals,
Any kind of
obviously.
opportunities, any
Hmm.
kind of leads, any kind of opportunities. I will also partner with people,
Yes.
with that MSP managed service provider. I have a whole strategy in place that
Hmm.
basically, you go out and sell it, and then never mind that guy behind the curtain, like the Wizard of Oz. Eh,
Yes.
I'll go and execute the whole thing for you. So if you've
Okay.
got a client that is interested in cybersecurity,
Yeah.
give me a call. I'll go in and help you put together a program, and then we'll
Yeah.
figure out the financials and the referrals and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, down the road. So that's, it's an interesting it's an interesting world, and there are thousands of companies like I am. They just don't
Yeah.
have the same expertise. My strategy: not enough people to do this stuff.
Yeah.
Leveraging automation and automated tools. And
Yes.
by doing that, I'm quicker, cheaper, faster, with less false positive fines. Right. So I've
Okay.
got a very, very
Found the sweet
unique niche.
spot.
Yeah. So that's how the community
All
can
right.
help: is bring deals,
Yeah.
bring opportunities, and we'll figure out how to work them.
Awesome.
Do
Awesome.
you
And
need
you
my
mentioned,
do you need my touch points and all that stuff, or
yes, yeah, I'll discuss that with you after this.
okay? But
Yeah.
GaileySolutions.com, GAILEY
Hmm.
Solutions.com
Hmm.
is my website. You can certainly
Yes.
get to me that way. You can get to me through LinkedIn, right?
Okay.
And then Peter@GaileySolutions.com is my email. Easy as that.
Perfect. Awesome.
Yeah,
Perfect. Thank you.
sure.
So yeah, so you mentioned the chief, what is it? Chief Privacy Officers, CPOs.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So would you be interested if people have a background in that? Would they be able to contact you and sort of assist you in that function?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So
Um,
anyone with sort of, yeah.
Again, if you, I have a bench of people that
Okay.
I use. Okay.
Yes.
Um, I'm not a trainer. I don't train. So if
Okay.
somebody that is not in cybersecurity calls me up and says, I want to go and execute your privacy program," it's like, no, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no, don't, you know, send me an email, give me
You
some
gotta know your
credentials,
stuff.
send me your
Yeah.
LinkedIn profile.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then, what I generally do is I do an if needed, as needed set of resources. So I don't
Yes.
have a
Yeah.
big company and a bunch of people on the payroll. I go
Yeah.
and leverage partners that I trust. It's a trust
That you
model.
trust at the time.
So if I've
Okay.
worked with them before and they've done a good job,
Yeah.
they're on the bench. If I've worked for them and they haven't done a good job, they're not.
They're off.
But again,
Amazing.
if the audience here is mostly individuals, then
Hmm.
I would highly suggest spend a
Going down
couple of
the cybersecurity.
days, get into the artificial intelligence stuff, just so that you're conversant on it, and
Yes.
you're
Yeah.
not going to look like you don't know what you're talking about, right? Because this is going to work.
You don't want to embarrass yourself.
This is exactly. It's interesting in cybersecurity.
Hmm.
I've been in the computer business for 47 years. Okay,
Wow. Okay.
and I have never been in a part of the business that is so acronym specific. meaning,
Okay.
the abbreviations, acronyms.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
If I'm speaking to a person that tells me that they're in cybersecurity
Yeah.
and they mispronounce one of the acronyms,
Okay.
or if they use it out of context,
Okay.
then I can tell they don't know what they're talking about. I mean, I can. I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
I
I
mean, it
can.
makes sense. Yeah.
And that's a trust based, and that just comes with experience. So
Yeah.
for the folks on the call, try to get a specialty, try to narrow
Yeah.
it down, try to become an expert, and then spread the word.
Hmm.
And once you've mastered that, then go on to another and another and another, and
Yeah.
then
That's great.
you'll eventually get to a VCISO, Virtual Chief Information Security Officer.
Got
I'm
it.
not super technical. I'm a business guy, but
Okay.
I've been around it, so I know
So you
what
know it.
what needs to get done. Yeah.
Yeah.
For the international community, my expertise is I'm an ITIL expert,
Ah,
which
okay.
is IT infrastructure library. So
Yes,
that
yes.
is, in a nutshell, that's like how this stuff is done. Okay.
Ah,
And all of the
okay.
things are changing, but you need to have a
Okay.
really good understanding of the process on how stuff is done and why.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
what some of my expertise.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Peter, for your time and for sharing, Gailey Solutions with us in the community. We really appreciate you breaking it down. I really appreciate you breaking it down for somebody that finds it, a little bit complicated. So I will definitely be trying to work out what, VPOs do and VSOs and all of those acronyms as well. But yeah, thank you again for joining us, and I hope to see you again in the future.
Great, Izzy. Thank you so much for the opportunity to address you and your audience. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too. Thank you very much.